So what was really behind Pope Leo XIV's choosing his name? The reason he just gave reveals far more than just a name. It actually reveals his full plan for the whole of his papacy that promises to impact the entire century and beyond. Meet Pope Leo XIII. These clips were filmed in 1896 when the Pope was just 86 years old. He was born in 1810, just 1 year after Abraham Lincoln was born. In fact, when he was born, Thomas Jefferson, John Adams, and James Madison were all still alive, making Pope Leo XIII the earliest born person ever recorded on film. And that technological fact alone is an indicator as to precisely why Leo XIV chose his name.
Ho pensato di prendere il nome di Leone XIV. Diverse le ragioni, però principalmente il Papa Leone XIII, infatti, con la storica enciclica Rerum Novarum, affrontò la questione sociale nel contesto della prima grande rivoluzione industriale. E oggi la Chiesa offre a tutti il suo patrimonio di dottrina sociale per rispondere a un'altra rivoluzione industriale e agli sviluppi dell'intelligenza artificiale che comportano nuove sfide per la difesa della dignità umana, della giustizia e del lavoro.
Now that revelation that Pope Leo XIV just gave there was absolutely huge because it basically provided a macro frame for the whole of his papacy. The papacy of Leo XIII oversaw a dramatic transformation in social life, a worldwide transformation we know today as the Industrial Revolution, or better, revolutions, plural. The first industrial revolution, beginning in the 18th century, involved the mechanization of the textile industry, when we were first able to mass produce an industry. The second industrial revolution, starting in the 19th century, involves scaling that mass production in all kinds of industries like Ford automobiles and the assembly line. It was during this time that Pope Leo XIII recognized the need for the Church to articulate a robust theology in the midst of this rising technological age, which he did. In his 1891 encyclical Rerum Novarum, or The Rights and Duties of Capital and Labor, Pope Leo addressed the unchanging and transcendent dignity of the human person as created in the image of God in the midst of an increasingly changing industrial age. In the encyclical, Leo sought to articulate a third way between neoliberal economic policies on the one hand that favored corporations, and on the other, the growing Marxist economic theories of the far left. The encyclical thus championed workers' rights, but it opposed any notion of class struggle. Leo affirmed the right to fair wages and private property ownership, but he also stressed the duty to provide for the common good and charity for the poor. State intervention was permitted, but it had to follow the principle of subsidiarity, meaning that the state was ultimately accountable to local intermediary institutions such as the family, community, and local associations. The key for Leo XIII was the preservation and indeed the flourishing of human dignity and worth, which does not change in the midst of a rapidly changing technological age. But now we're embarking on what many are calling the third industrial revolution, which may be the most transformative age of them all. And it is that age which the papacy of Leo XIV is explicitly confronting. If you're a homeowner, you need to listen to this. When's the last time? Seriously, when's the last time you checked on your home title? That's the legal proof you own your house. Well, if you're like me, the answer's never. And the problem is, in today's AI and cyber world, scammers are stealing home titles and your equity is the target. Here's how it works. Criminals forge your signature on one document. They use a fake notary stamp. They pay a small fee with your county and boom, that's it. Your home title has officially been transferred out of your name. And then they take out tons of loans using your equity or even sell your property. And you won't know what's happened until you get a collection notice or a foreclosure notice. That's why you need to stop what you're doing right now and find out today if you've already been a victim. Use promo code TurleyTalks at HomeTitleLock.com to make sure your title is still in your name. You'll also get a free title history report plus a free 14-day trial of their $1 million triple lock protection. That's 24/7 monitoring of your title, urgent alerts to any changes, and if fraud should happen, they'll spend up to $1 million to fix it. Go to HomeTitleLock.com right now. Use promo code TurleyTalks. That's HomeTitleLock.com, promo code TurleyTalks. Today, we are in the midst of what scholars are calling the third industrial revolution, or more commonly, the digital revolution, which has introduced a whole new dimension of reality called cyberspace, where the mechanical material and the physical are all transferred and translated into digital electronic bits of information and stored, transferred, and utilized in the form of computational energy. So, for example, this is the George Peabody Library at the Johns Hopkins University in Baltimore. It's an amazingly beautiful building that's been nicknamed the Cathedral of Books, of which it houses over 300,000. But take a look at this. A typical smartphone. One of the iconic products of the digital revolution. This is just a single node in the cyberspace. Do you want to take a guess how many books I have access to with this in the palm of my hand? Over 100 million. Now, again, this is not an either or. Nothing will replace the beauty of the Peabody Library. When I want inspiration or I want an actual physical book in my hand, I most certainly will avail myself of that library. But the point here is that there is now another level of physical digital reality awakened by this third industrial revolution that's literally changing the whole way we experience time and space. And at the heart of this new cyber reality is, of course, the rise of AI. Now, the key to AI is that it promises to basically define the 21st century much the same way electricity defined the 20th. So just as all of our devices got electrified, I mean, literally all of our devices, we've got electric toothbrushes, for heaven's sakes. So just like I take any device and plug it in and electrify it, so now we're going through a process where we can plug in any device and it can be cognified into a kind of artificial intelligence. Now, what that means for toothbrushes, we'll have to see, but that's also the key difference. As wonderful as electrifying our appliances is, that electrification did not replace human intelligence. Electricity in and of itself doesn't necessarily replace human tasks. Sure, I can flip a switch, turn on the lights rather than light a match, burn a candle, whatever. But AI is actually replacing human activity. AI is replacing human activity that had required until now real human intelligence, like computing numbers or assembling gadgets in an assembly line or flying an airplane or driving a car. All of that is now increasingly being cognized by AI. But that's just the beginning. AI is actually ushering in a whole new kind of geopolitics, which some are calling AI nationalism. And this is where states are increasingly shaping their national policies to the wider AI landscape and competing against each other for AI supremacy. And here, what's so fascinating is that at a geopolitical level, AI isn't so much the new electricity anymore. Instead, again, at geopolitical level, AI is the new oil. So just as oil shaped international alliances and diplomacy in the past, so new alliances will increasingly overlap in cooperation surrounding the latest developments in AI. Indeed, Russian President Vladimir Putin back in 2017 actually made the proclamation that the nation that masters AI first is the one that will indeed control the world. And so what that means is that AI nationalism is basically giving rise to a very real kind of AI arms race, particularly between the United States and China. In fact, the Brookings Institute recently published a piece that argued that whoever controls AI by 2030 will basically rule the century. This is the world that the papacy of Leo XIV is deliberately and intentionally engaging with his name choice. And at its heart, Leo will have to confront the growing mythology of AI and its propensity towards what's called transhumanism, a salvific vision for technology that in effect rescues us from the futilities of our physical humanity. Leo's theological vision, by contrast, will be radically human-affirming, centering on the goodness of the human body that's been redeemed in the transfigurative life, death, and resurrection of Christ. Technology and AI most certainly can be affirmed and encouraged, but only as servants, not masters. As servants to the flourishing of our humanity, technology serves as a blessing. As masters, technology becomes an idol, and idols only end up enslaving. They never free. Interestingly, there are signs that Pope Leo sees ancient tradition as a complement to future technologies, the way forward to affirm our humanity. There are already reports that the traditional Latin Mass was just offered at Santa Maria Maggiore Church in Rome yesterday, ironically just a few feet away from where Pope Francis was interred. While Francis frowned on the ancient Latin rite, Leo appears to be very much its champion. As such, Francis may indeed be our first archaeo-future pope, who combines technology and tradition as the most fruitful way forward for a flourishing humanity and civilization. If so, Leo's papacy promises to be just as significant and consequential as his predecessors, establishing the Church's vision for the 21st century and beyond. Hey there, Turley Talker. You know what? I'd love to hear from you. That's why I'm launching the Dr. Steve Hotline, where you can call in, leave a question, and maybe even hear your own voice featured on an upcoming episode of the show. Whether it's about the latest political shakeup or cultural trends or how we keep pushing forward in this new conservative age, I want to know what's on your mind. Call me at 717-844-5984. Just leave your question. I'll be checking in every single week to answer as many as I can. Again, that's 717-844-5984. Your chance to be a part of the conversation. One more time, 717-844-5984. Give me a call and let's talk.